Tonight, a Target 12 investigators exclusive, the banking crisis 25 years later. Rhode Island was rocked in 1991 when 45 banks shut down and hundreds of thousands of depositors couldn't access their money. Tonight, we track down what happened to the man who was the face of the banking crisis.
And we comb through court records to find out if Joe Mollicone made good on his payments to the state. Target 12 investigator Tim White is here now with what he's uncovered.
As president of Heritage Loan and Investment, which used to be here on Federal Hill, Joseph Mollicone's methodical theft from his own bank tipped the first domino in a cascade that crippled the state.
Of a conscious, systematic scheme of plundering of bank assets entrusted to him.
Joseph Mollicone was on the run for 17 months. An international manhunt to track down the master con man who siphoned away $15 million from his own bank.
His defense counsel said during his closing argument, that he was really, borrowing money from Peter to pay Paul. It's not to anybody who's been affected.
Kevin Bristow was one of the prosecutors that put Mollicone away.
We just stood up and it was just a line there, said, look, he stole money. First thing we said was from Peter and Paul to pay Joe, because that's what he did.
I do agree to that.
Investigators say Mollicone's thievery was the spark that ignited the banking crisis. The missing money from Heritage Loan destabilized the insurance fund that protected depositors, called RISDIC. Shutout depositors took to the streets in protest, sometimes turning violent.
There were people who came in. There was one man who had been giving Joe money, and Joe had been giving him handwritten receipts, and he was saving money for his wife's funeral.
Salt Lake City is a quiet community.
As Target 12 first reported at the time, Mollicone had been hiding out in Utah under a false name.
And I misused and I discredited.
In a 1994 prison interview with Target 12, Mollicone says he picked Salt Lake City at random.
There was really no reason other than I had flown there before. I mean, nothing of consequence.
Defendant's actions.
A judge sentenced Mollicone to 30 years in prison. He served 10 years before being released on parole. In 2002, Magistrate Judge Patricia Harwood ordered him to repay $12 million of the money he stole. His restitution payments started at $30 a month. Those payments have slowly increased over the years. He's now required to pay $217 a month. Target 12 asked for Mollicone's payment history from the Office of Restitution here at Superior Court, and records show he has paid the state faithfully every month. In fact, last month he paid more than required, $300, but it's a long road ahead. So far, Mollicone has paid just over $28,000, leaving a balance of $11.9 million. At the current required rate of repayment, it will take Joe Mollicone 4,597 years to pay it off.
The restitution order, if nothing else, it's a constant reminder to him every month of what he did, what he lost, and what he's got to pay back.
Mollicone's payments go directly into the general fund, but that's not the only money he's been ordered to repay. He has another, even bigger bill hanging over his head. We'll have that for you new at 6. With the Target 12 investigators, Tim White, Eyewitness News.
New details now in a Target 12 investigators exclusive, the banking crisis 25 years later. As we reveal live at 5, Joe Mollicone, the man who ignited an historic financial meltdown, is a long way from paying off the millions of dollars in restitution for his crimes. In fact, at the current pace, it would take him more than 4,000 years to pay taxpayers back. New at 6, we found there's another even bigger bill hanging over his head. Target 12 investigator Tim White has the latest from the Providence Mobile Newsroom.
Uncle Sam always wants his share, and in the case of Joe Mollicone, that even means taxes on ill-gotten gains.
Of a conscious, systematic scheme of plundering of bank assets entrusted to him.
For years, Joe Mollicone methodically stole more than $15 million from his own bank, Heritage Loan and Investment on Federal Hill.
What did he do with $15 million?
Well, he lived a good life. Sent to anybody who's been affected.
Kevin Bristow was one of the prosecutors that brought Mollicone to justice.
If he was leaving for Las Vegas with a group of 2 or 3 men who he wanted to impress, people he viewed as potential co-investors with him, and he would basically clean out the vault, and he'd go to a first-class place in Las Vegas and buy everybody $800 leather jackets.
On the run for 17 months, it turned out Mollicone had been living in Utah under an assumed name.
Constituted nothing short.
He was later found guilty and sentenced to 30 years, serving 10 before being released on parole. Mollicone was ordered to pay back $12 million of the $15 million he siphoned away. Then, in 2009, the federal government cast their gaze on the Mollicone case. According to court documents reviewed by Target 12, the IRS ordered him to repay more than $33 million in back taxes and fines. How much has Mollicone paid toward this order? We checked with the IRS, a spokesperson telling Target 12, unfortunately, federal law prohibits me from discussing any particular taxpayer's situation.
The answer is no. There's just no way that he will ever have, absent like Powerball or something like that, the resources to pay that back. Target
12 checked with Warwick Town officials where Mollicone lives and found the IRS put a lien on his home. Court records show Mollicone is retired and paying restitution with his Social Security checks. As we reported, Mollicone has paid just over $28,000 to his state restitution bill, leaving a tab of well over $11.9 million. With the Target 12 investigators, Tim White, Eyewitness News.